Despite 360 camera manufacturers are breaking the limits to get higher dynamic range, some light conditions are still challenging for most of the devices nowadays. This time I show you my tricks, how I fix the blown out skies in post-production. A clear sunny day is the best for shooting in 360 outdoors, but sometimes we can't schedule shooting like this waiting for the ideal weather conditions. Anyhow, a clear blue sky with a small sunspot looks the best on the screen. Or when it's totally cloudy. We can also have nice exposure setups with an evenly cloudy sky without having strong shadows on the ground. But one of the worst situations is a sunny sky with soft clouds come and go. The thin clouds increase the bright area in the sky, just like a softbox in front of a spotlight. And as the sun shines through the cloud cracks, it's getting even worse. In such a case, a huge part of the sky can be blown out. It can be quite disturbing, but the point is that it ruins the atmosphere of the scene, grabbing too much attention to that particular part of the 360 video. So I found out a solution which works fine in many cases. Of course not in every single case, but I'll show you a couple of them. First, here you can see this rowing video shot with 1x. You might say it's okay, with a great dynamic range, no strong lights, but let me show you the original footage. Here you can see how the sun looks like straight out of the camera. There's a big blind spot in the sky, and switching to 360 preview, it's even more noticeable. Actually, most of the sky is totally blown out in the main direction of our 360 space. Well, let's see another example. It seems like a nice balanced shot for the first sight. We can definitely see the sun and the reflection of the highlights on the water surface, and it looks quite natural. But here is the same scene before post-production. It's almost the same situation like before. The clouds act like a huge softbox in front of the sun, making the area of the highlights so huge. In such cases I try to correct these problems and not to hide them completely. I mean, having a small overexposed spot around the sun is always natural. I only want to hide that softbox effect. Switching between before and after, the correction is quite flashy, but I think for the first time you couldn't see it so clearly. And in 360 the manipulation is not noticeable at all. There are only two important steps to have such a result. I have to isolate and mask out the affected part of the sky, then to replace it smoothly. First I duplicate the video and copy it right above the original footage. Then I draw a rough mask around the sun with quite a big mask feather. After that I'm searching for a plugin called Offset. Modifying the first attribute, I can shift the image left or right. Of course, in this case I can see it moving only inside the mask I created. And now I have to search for the best clouds to replace the blown out area with. The point is that the clouds on the upper layer are also moving with the camera, so it won't be a static mask and it looks more natural this way. I have to be careful to mask out the trees on the horizon and be sure that there are no trees in front of the clouds on the new layer. But as you can see, in such an easy case, a simple round mask is enough. But let's see another example when we have to play around with the mask. I start the same way, duplicating the video and drawing a mask around the brightest area on the top layer. This time I have to be careful with the plants and other objects, so I modify the shape of the mask. Then I apply the Offset plugin and search for the best clouds again. It would be unnatural if I hide all the bright area, so I just correct it a little bit. I can try setting up lower opacity or playing around with blend modes. In this case I prefer the darken mode. Even more, I can blend this part better with some color grading. I add Colorista to this layer, but of course you can use Lumetri colors or simple curves too, to lighten up these dark clouds and match them better to the image. As you can see, the final result looks quite natural, especially looking at the reflection on the water. I don't hide the sun at all, I just bring some details to that area. Then if you have more complex moving shots, you can play around with animating the mask. In this case the sun is quite near the ground, so it would be harder to hide it so much. On the other hand, I have to pay attention to the reflections on the water, so I just want to get rid of that ugly part above the sun. First I duplicate the layer and create a mask. And then I apply the offset plugin and move the clouds over the affected area. This time we have to play around with the shape of the mask again, and as you can see now we have an object in front of the sun. A pylon crosses the highlighted area. So besides drawing a tricky mask, we have to animate it a little bit. At least if we want to keep the pylon on its place. Another option is to mask it totally out, but now I want to keep the scene as natural as possible. So I draw and animate a mask around the pylon using keyframes. Fortunately, I don't need so much key points. I only create 2 of them. One on the beginning and another one when the pylon stands right in front of the sun. Then finally, maybe I make the mask a little bit smaller, keeping the sky a little bit more natural. This way it looks fine. It's not an extreme sky replacement, but finally I got rid of the ugly white area above the sun. So here you can see the first and easiest example before and after. Here is the second one. And finally here you can see the third one with a little bit tricky and animated mask. I hope you like these small tips and you will use them to make better 360 contents. And if you like this video, please thumbs up, and for further 360 contents and tutorials, subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you soon, guys!